Finish them. Finish them. Hamas did this. You know Iran's behind it. Finish them.
Tucker Carlson, who, of course, is no longer with Fox, and he's doing the show on X, formerly Twitter, I suppose. He was very critical of Nikki Haley on some of her comments responding to these attacks.
So there's a lot at stake in how we encourage Israel to respond to the horrifying Hamas attacks. Wisdom and long-term thinking are essential, but you will not be surprised to learn that is not what we are getting. Watch this person, for example, who happens to be the media's pick for President of the United States.
This is not just an attack on Israel. This is an attack on America because they hate us just as much. And what we have to understand is this is the reason that we have to unite around making sure our enemies do not hurt our friends. America can never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends, just like we needed them on 9/11. That's why Ukraine needs us when Russia's doing this. That's why Israel needs us when Hamas and Iran are doing this. And I'll say this to Prime Minister Netanyahu, finish them. Finish them. Hamas did this. You know Iran's behind it. Finish them. They should have hell to pay for what they've just done.
This was an attack on America, she says, when in fact it was not. And for that reason, we must, quote, finish Iran, a nation of nearly 90 million people. What are we watching here? This is not sober leadership. She's a child, and this is the tantrum of a child. Ignorant, cocksure, bloodthirsty. Yet no one in Washington scolded her for it. In fact, they aped her hysteria.
I have to say, and it slightly pains me to say this, I'm really disappointed in Tucker right now. And Ben, that guy that we mentioned before over at Ear Network, he really went off on Tucker, and I shared it. I think it was right. Look, I'm with you, Michael, especially on this one. The Ukraine thing, it makes no sense. We have poured money, and it's just insane. This is a completely different situation. But Tucker said a couple things there that make no sense to me. First off, I have never heard anyone say that Nikki Haley is the darling of the media. I mean, I've never heard anyone say that, period. And secondly, this wasn't an attack on America, except how many Americans were killed? I think at least 11, and I think they have 22 American hostages right now, which, as far as I know, we haven't even demanded back. I mean, if you kill 11 Americans, is that not an attack on America at the very least? That doesn't mean we just go in and bomb the place to high hell, but I think he's playing a bit of a duplicitous game here. Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. First of all, you could tell from what Nikki Haley was saying that she wasn't saying finish Iran. She was saying finish Hamas,
right.
who is backed by Iran. So he willfully misunderstood her. The opposite of neoconservatism, this idea that we should fight every war everywhere, is isolationism. And both of those are childish. Mm-hmm. And the evidence that Tucker Carlson has subscribed to the childishness of isolationism is that his argument against going into Ukraine was that Putin really wasn't as bad a guy as we thought he was, and he wasn't really our enemy. That's the one argument you can't make for not going into Ukraine. You can make all kinds of arguments, all kinds of good reasons to stay out of Ukraine or limit the amount of support we give to Ukraine or be careful about Ukraine, all kinds of arguments. The fact that Putin is a sweetheart is not one of them. The man is a gangster. He is a genuine enemy of this country as well as anybody decent anywhere. And he kills, people who disagree with him, even if they live in other countries. We have to oppose him. But how much is a fair question. The same thing is true here. Yes, of course, an attack on Israel is not an attack on America. Sometimes Israel's interests and America's interests diverge, but an attack on our best ally in the Middle East is a moment for reflection and consideration of what we should do. We don't have any other friends, any real friends in the Middle East except for Israel, and it is an important wedge that we have gotten into a very, very troubled area from which a lot of war tends to come. So I just thought, Tucker, that was just bad reasoning. It was drum beating, and it was basically trying to stir up the America First crowd. I really was not thrilled with it at all.
Yeah, and I think I can speak for all of us, but correct me if I'm wrong. We all like Tucker. I've played clips of him all the time. I think he's right on 95% of the stuff.